What's up, everybody? Welcome to the round of 8 here in the ASL. As we've said many times before, this is our favorite part of the tournament. This is where things really pick up. We've got a great match coming to you today here. Tastosis, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing fantastically. I'm really excited for the round of 8. I think it's one of our stronger, more interesting round of 8s in a lot of ways. The Terran lineup may be a little weak compared to the Protoss and Zerg lineups, but I think I still have trust that Rush can get it done. But yeah, the round of 8, this is a prep tournament, and you see really great things prepped, even in the group stage where you're prepping for 3 players in a variety of maps. Here, you're going to know all the maps, their order, and your opponent, sometimes for like 2 weeks. So it's pretty intense. Like, you can have some absolutely insane builds coming up.
As you can see, this is the bracket that we've got. Again, a little bit of a different makeup as far as who's gotten here and who's not here as well. Also, a very Protoss-heavy round of 8. I think this might be the most Protoss-heavy we've had in a few years, with Snow, Bisu, Mini, and Best. So not only is it half Protoss, basically the 4 best Protosses we could ask for.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. Rain kind of under-delivering again this season. That guy needs to actually sit down and practice. But these 4 are looking good. And, Snow is all the rage right now. I think Mini is playing amazingly. But Bisu is a big guy I'm looking out for as well. So the Protoss lineup, man, I think we might have a Protoss champion this time.
Very well could happen. Today we're going to have Best versus Sharp. Very curious to see how Best is going to perform. We've been saying this guy should be winning an ASL, any ASL now, but he hasn't done it yet. Where Sharp has played very well in the past. We got to see how he's going to be performing this time around. A very different Terran from the other Terrans we've had here. One of the older Terrans at this point in time. A very storied player. So this should be a fun one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good match. Sharp has some strong TVP, but Best a macro god. So we're going to see where these two end up. A best of 5 is exactly what I want to see between Sharp and Best. So we're going to, have a good night.
전진이 너무 탄탄하게 지금 물고 들어오는 싸움의 간절함으로
Hello and welcome to the first match of the round of 8 here at the AfreecaTV StarCraft League Season 17, brought to you by Well New Life Ultimate Custom Prestige Gaming Chairs. Today the curtain goes up at the quarterfinal stage with our first 2 players, Best and Sharp, waiting to start their match. With both players on high alert, let's have a word with today's contestants. Hello. Let's start with Best. Hi. In the round of 16, you defeated champion and runner-up players of past seasons in Light and Rush to decidedly advance out of your group in first place. That speaks volumes as to how exceptionally reliable your versus Terran matchup truly is. You are meeting Sharp in the round of 8, and I did see your reaction to seeing the bracket draw. This was the first time in many years I've seen you this grateful towards me. I reckon it was because you realized this is another chance for you to showcase your versus Terran. How did you feel at that point? To speak candidly, my mirror matchup is kind of weak, and while Sharp is not an easy opponent, I still wanted to meet him regardless. I prayed and you did the draw. I'm going into this seeing him as somewhat of a nemesis, so while he's not easy by any means, he's definitely worth going up against. for me. Okay, let's talk to Sharp as well. Hi. You had a tremendous performance in the round of 16 as well, though unfortunately you did lose to Snow in the winners match TVP. You've been given a chance to improve your versus Protoss in the quarterfinals as you're going up against Best. You also made an announcement saying you would prepare with no regrets and how thankful you are for how the bracket draw went, which makes one think you must have something to show in the match against Best. In any case, Best has been doing particularly well this time around, and in practice he'd been going for full set best of 9 series. I couldn't keep track of all of them, but it made me reflect and think I'm going to have to work hard as well. I guess I might have something to show today. I heard a rumor you've not been losing at all in your practice. Practicing for the round of 16, Best said he had been losing, which was a lie, clearly. Let's say the same for my practice. If you do well in the real match, that's what matters. The real match. I see. I've had a look at your record in extended series, and Best has had some struggles in those, seeing how you have no wins against Terran. When it comes to Sharp, you took down Rain in the wildcard match for Season 7, but in extended series against Protoss in the round of 8 onwards, you, alas, have not had any success either. So, for both players, while your record in the respective matchup is good, one could say you both have some room for improvement when it comes to extended series. I wonder what your guys' take on this is. Best? Well, because I have been losing like this, I don't think I play well against Terran in a tournament setting. I'm just going into today with a let's give it a go mindset. It would be nice if I got a good result. And Sharp, can you show us how you've improved in Best of 5+? Looking at my ASL record, my versus Terran and versus Zerg are pretty good, but somehow that's not the case for versus Protoss. I am looking to raise that 1 win rate today. You've come to raise the win rate. Looking at both players head to head, it's all neck and neck with an ever so close 3-4. Seeing how you're meeting in a best of 5 for the first time, you must have one map you think is crucial to victory. What do you think? Best? In any case, it has to be the first set, which was Sharp's map pick. If I win that, I could keep it rolling. Sharp's map pick, set number 1, is of vital importance. What do you think, Sharp? To be honest, I'm not sure why Best was picking second, seeing how he advanced in first place. A self-imposed handicap? Yeah, seeing how he let me pick the first set, I guess things should go well if I manage to win that first one. So, you've prepared for the first game then? I've practiced for it a lot. Well, looking forward to it. Let's close things out with some final remarks from both players. Best? I've been given a chance to once again go deep. I want to make good use of that opportunity. Can't wait. Sharp? I am once again getting to play on stage, and as I've said, I am most happy playing on stage. I will advance once more. Looking forward to it. Thanks for the interview. Can't wait for some good games from both of you. Thank you. You're all waiting for that first match of the round of 8 of ASL Season 17 with Well New Life Ultimate Custom Prestige Gaming Chairs, and as we wonder whether Best or Sharp will be the first player to join the semi-finals this season, let's kick things off.
Alright guys, we're going to be getting into this best of 5. You can see our map lineup here now. I expect this to be a fairly long and dramatic PvT.
Yeah.
Best is pretty comfortable in macro games. He did in this season specifically. We've had basically 2 styles of play. We've had Mini's insane scanner assassination, hold off the push with DTs while you counter into their base play. And then we've had the good old Ooga Booga gateway style that Best does so well. He can win with cheese. I mean, he can basically do anything as Protoss, but I think we can all agree over the last several seasons of ASL, he's kind of a bust Protoss. He likes to set up, hold off your initial push, cut probes at certain points in time, and try to topple the Terran. So we're probably going to have a lot of mid-game, a lot of late-game stuff from him. Sharp is a pretty crafty and tactical Terran. So I think he probably has a better shot with some of his early game pushes than some of the other Terrans we have.
Totally.
So overall, I mean, this should be a really fun best of 5 with these two.
I think it's a great matchup. I do think it's a little bit best favored. I think his style matches up pretty well with Sharp, but Sharp is probably better at getting vultures into the Protoss base than any other Terran on Earth. Like, he is very, very good at maybe like setting a distraction or finding a way in, which sounds kind of silly, and kind of because it is, because when you play Sharp, the main thing is make sure you have your walls up and you have Dragoons in front of them, because that's where he gets you. Like, he'll have one unit out of position and he's always trying, and he'll get his vultures in, and suddenly you have no probes. I can't tell you how many games I've seen where Sharp is in a dead position and just comes back through probe kills. Like, that's his MO, man. That's it.
100%. I mean, he's definitely one of these death by 1,000 cuts Terran. He's also, like, you need to get cannons in your worker lines. Be careful to not fully wall off your third base. He's the kind of guy that'll drop vultures inside there, so then you then have to kill your own pylon to get in there and save it. So he can definitely be a very frustrating Terran to play against. I think his late game is fine. I wouldn't say it's as good as someone like Rush or Last, but might not need to be that strong if he can do the damage that he needs to do early on.
Yeah, he still does a good job with it. So, you know, I'm not like too worried about him and how he'll get in those situations. Like, it just matters if he's in an okay spot at that point, I think.
Couldn't agree more. Now, Best, I'm hoping, just for his sake and his story, I would love to see him win here today. This is usually his limit in ASL, is the round of 8. He doesn't always make it to the round of 8 either. But he has struggled in this format. I think this is a doable opponent for him. Certainly nobody in the round of 8 to go up against is going to be easy. But, you know, Sharp is somebody who I think it is feasible he takes this and he goes for the win. Now, they've both had a lot of time to study each other and prepare for each other. And I think Sharp is especially good in those situations. No doubt he's gone over so many replays and VODs of Best, trying to figure out, okay, what are the characteristics, the behaviorisms that Best shows early on? How can he use that to try to get vultures in? Is there any kind of weird, cheesy build he could even do against Best to turn the game on its head? Should be so cool.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sure a lot of prep has occurred here, so very much looking forward to it, and I think we're just about ready. The map lineup was kind of cool as well. You know, Sharp chose the 4-player maps, Best chose the smaller maps, and Retro will finish it off. So let's see how it goes. We're going to get into game number 1 here, coming up on Radeon. Definitely a big 4-player map. I'm surprised he chose that first. I thought he'd choose Citadel, but here we go. Game number 1 starting up.
Okay, cross spawns here. Best in the bottom left, and in the top right is Sharp. As we do every ASL broadcast, we want to do a quick, short little plug here. Guys, if you love this show, if you love Tastosis, and you want to support what you're seeing here, and support the history of the greatest esport, the esport that started it all and is still going strong, please consider signing up for our Patreon. Patreon.com/ASL English. Couldn't do without your support. Sign up for a year if you would. You guys mean the world to us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support over the years. You know, without you, we could not have done this. So big thanks, and hopefully we'll keep doing it forever. I mean, everything is looking so good in Brood War right now. It's a great time to be a fan of the game. It's a great time to play. It's a great time to watch. A really diverse pro scene. We're seeing, like, all the races have their moments where they're playing very, very well. And the ever-evolving strategies that's the thing that's really blowing my mind. And anytime I talk to someone and they ask about it and I tell them, they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah, the metagame is literally shifting quicker than it ever has. It's insane. Like, the entire metagame has been just non-stop evolving, which is giving us so much freshness in all the games.
It's funny, when we both came back to start casting StarCraft Brood War, this was a little bit before StarCraft Remastered was out, actually. I think basically they knew that Remastered was coming and wanted to get a head start on getting the Pro League infrastructure set up to have a new modern StarLeague, which is, of course, now the ASL. I remember some people telling Tastosis and me that, like, the game had changed a lot, and I honestly didn't really believe them.
Yeah, me either.
I was kind of like, no, it didn't, dude. We'll be fine. And then the first couple weeks, I'm like, what are they doing? This is so weird. I don't have any. I can't reference this to anything that I saw before. And even from those days to now, the game has changed entirely.
Yeah. So many times. There's so many, like, builds from 6 years ago, 7 years ago that absolutely don't work anymore. And you know, it is a wild time, and it's great to see. So anyways, thanks everyone for checking out that Patreon and supporting. Now, taking a look here, right? It is cross spawn. Sharp is going to get down here and scout what Best is up to. Sharp going for a gasless expansion. In fact, a 2 depot variety for safety. So that's really good to see. I love seeing a Terran make sure that he's not just going to randomly die to one unit. That's always a frustrating thing. So, yeah, you know, it's a very excellent start here for Sharp to have chosen this build and not have a Zealot coming.
Yeah, this is going to be a comfortable expand right now. And the probe gets inside the base. I mean, you would already guess with the timing of the command center that this was double depot command center. In case you're watching this and saying, doesn't this feel a little bit not safe? Like the command center's kind of naked out there. Well, he wouldn't have necessarily gone down this fast if he saw a rush. So you're safe against certain types of cheese while still getting the command center up pretty quickly. There are a lot of weird things going on with the meta now because Nexus First is so popular on a lot of these maps early on. And, you know, Command Center First also is a decent response to Nexus First. So that's why some of these early games can look a little bit weird. Now, Sharp both got the Command Center down and denied the Nexus with an eBay. The eBay has just now been canceled, but this is going to be a pretty big lead for Sharp for the beginning here. And there's not a whole lot that Protoss can really do to punish this. And Command Center is going to finish when the Nexus is a little bit under halfway done. And other than try to hit the bunker with Dragoons, there's not a whole lot Protoss can do to punish here.
Dude, what do you think about that off-center depot? I mean, that off-center bunker. That's so weird looking that he put it off to the side like that. I mean, I don't know that it matters all that much, but it's just normally you kind of center it.
Well, I think the reason why is you're trying to bait them into going up, and then there's a barracks that blocks that. I think the Dragoon has to go all the way around the barracks to go up the ramp. And sometimes, you know, I think the most uncomfortable position to be in the first, like, few minutes, like we're in right now, is Best's position. When you see their command center go up that fast, and you don't have any obvious tech or way to punish, he only just now killed the last SCV. Sometimes Protosses will do an impulsive thing. So I actually think Sharp's little setup here is pretty genius. It's pretty Sharp-esque. Is try to almost make it look like, yeah, it's off-center. Why not try to run up there and see if you could, you know, maybe get in the main and scout for a starport after factory or something. But instead, the one Dragoon would be killed off because I'm not 100% sure. I think the Dragoon has to wrap around the barracks. I don't think you can run in between.
Yeah, no, you're
ramp and the barracks there.
You are right about that placement. I also wonder if it gives like slightly less surface area on the left side, so unsieged tanks on the right can punish Dragoons harder. That's what it kind of looks like to me, because you know, if it's back like 2 hex and to the right 2 hex, then I feel like you get a little bit more surface area on the left, and you have to see. You see how he's having kind of a hard time getting these lined up on that side? So I think that's actually has something to do with it as well. But either way, Sharp playing very safe. 4 Dragoons out now. We'll see if he actually goes into siege mode or not. He does have 2 factories. Generally, a lot of Terrans like to put some pressure on after an opening like this to try to catch Protoss maybe being too greedy. And we'll see about that. With no spinning machine shops, it looks like he's going into 3 tanks right away, which is almost always a pressure build.
And Best is going for a DT drop, as far as I can tell. We have the first Observer coming out. We have the Citadel coming along. You could also go for 2 base Arbiter.
Yeah.
That's not unheard of either. And you can... I think both are fine, is what I'm trying to get at. Both are basically acceptable ways to play. They just come with different ideas and different strengths there. You know, the DT drop, it can be a little bit risky because if you don't get anything done, you're really hurting. And this is going to be 2-base Arbiter. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And this actually makes me really happy to see, right? Like we were talking earlier in the season, I was telling you that I think Arbiter should be coming back into the metagame really strongly because it's such a good 5-fact counter, right? So like if Sharp is looking to do a 5-factory attack, Arbiter is the perfect play against this. And just to make that clear for people, so basically Arbiter builds have no strength until the Arbiter's out. Like they're super weak. So what you want to do is expand quickly against them, which is the opposite of what 5-factory is doing. 5-factory is the slowest third you can get. So it makes a lot of sense to go into these fast Arbiter builds to just kind of straight counter. Because if you're trying to go across the map with a 5-factory, you're going to have maybe 2 scans. So you can't support the consistency of the cloak and like one Zealot running up over and over into your army. So yeah, these Arbiter builds are really smart. I love to see this from Best, and especially on Radion cross spawns. Because we're on Radion and cross spawns, it is such a long distance. It is so hard to push late game. Him going 2-base Arbiter here is going to force it into a big game. And this map is hard to push TVP. I feel like we're in for a long, difficult macro game where Best just has like 7 bases.
Yeah, this is the greediest version of the Arbiter build because he didn't throw down 6 gateways before the Nexus. It was Nexus first, then 6 gateways, which I think you can actually get away with. Feels so dirty and so so greedy, but I think for the way Terran's playing, you're probably fine. And we're going to go into what is a little bit of an older looking PvT. It used to be that Arbiter was like the supreme tech, especially back in the like very early days. Like Carrier was always kind of good. Terran's got pretty smart at dealing with Carrier play, but Arbiter seemed to be like the safest, most proper macro style of play. I'd say in the years before StarCraft 2 was released, Terran's got extremely good at just relying on EMP and kind of going straight into the Arbiter army with, you know, big upgrades that would allow them to have a stronger army, constant scans. But again, the reason why we're seeing Best play like this is because Terrans tend to slow play it now, which is exactly what we're seeing, like what Tastosis was saying. This is only just now a 3rd base for the Terran, and he's got his 5-factories up. He's slowly stretching out on the map. He'll have to transfer some SCVs over here in a little bit. When Terran plays a slower game, it's a little bit tougher, you know, to deal with the Arbiters later on.
Yeah, the Arbiter definitely gains a bit of power there, especially on such a wide open map. Now, Sharp, he did throw down his scan. He saw that it's Arbiter, and very properly throws down his 3rd command center. Now, the 3rd command is not so late that you're like, damn, I'm really far behind. But what Best did here was he basically took away a lot of the advantage that the very fast expansion that Sharp had gave him, right? Like, he decided to macro up like Sharp was thinking about an attack, and then he finds out he can't, and it's like, oh. Now, imagine if he had known it was Arbiter, it was a different metagame. Like, he would have gotten that 3rd so quickly, you know, and it would have been difficult. Now, Sharp is pushing, but he's not going to maintain this push. This feels more like him trying to keep Best honest and not take a 4th too quickly. But I can't imagine him going across the map. Can't imagine it.
Now, as we get deeper and deeper into the game, I would expect to see shuttles with Psystorm. I have seen games where Best will go for, like, carriers after, like, either 1, 2, 3 Arbiters. But I would be surprised if he does that this time around. Yeah. It seems like shuttle High Templar is really the way to do it. And that's only because sometimes if you try to do that full-on switch into carriers, if the Terran's been very good about upgrades, the carriers are just not that strong at that moment. Yeah. And so I think probes, he's not going to make any more. He's going to do exactly what we were talking about before the game started. He's going to try to bust him. And I do think Best is still maybe the best Protoss in the whole world at this. He breaks positions better than, I think, even Bisu right now.
Yeah, he definitely does. Now, Best coming up. Hopefully Sharp is spread. He's spread reasonably well. He has a big clump in the bottom right. If an stasis goes off on that, it'll be really strong. Not the best stasis. In fact, that stasis helps Sharp a lot. Look at the Zealots get stuck in front of these ice cubes. It looks like still he has so many units. He is getting on top of a lot of these siege tanks. But Sharp is going to be okay, I think. He's going to have exactly enough to hold this really, really cleanly. Not a very
he's not even
good
going to
move.
get that last take.
Yeah, that was. It's just not that good a move to bust into these positions, right? Like, this opens up for Sharp the possibility of counterattack. Now, we'll see if he actually does it. I think what he's going to do is re-turtle because his macro isn't quite ready. His upgrades aren't quite ready. But he's going towards 2-1. I believe he's on about 6 factory right now, but if he had, like, 8 factories already, sometimes you can counterattack against that. And in fact, Best right now, like, if he doesn't take a 4th base, Sharp is going to start to pull away with this game, I think.
Well, I mean, I look at this from the Protoss' perspective, and I feel like he already lost. Like, the fact that there was no 4th base started and the bust failed there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think anybody who's played Protoss would agree with me. You kind of want to leave the game right now. Now, he's not going to do that because there's too much at stake here. But the Terran's already ahead in supply.
Yeah.
He did kill a lot of tanks. That's good. But this is a pretty rough game from here on out. Now, I don't think Terran gets a 4th base that easily on this map. When you kill off that many tanks, it is a while to recover, the part of the map that you lost back there. And I think 4th base for Terran on this map probably can only be at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, it's super rare to expand to the south here. But yeah, 12 o'clock is generally the best.
So when you go for Arbiter like this, there's only 2 things you can do at the start. You can do the Stasis Bust, which is what we saw Best do. The other play is to go for a recall. I think this map specifically, you can't really, there's nowhere to recall that's good. 2nd and the 3rd base sort of organically interfere with the Arbiter getting into the main base.
Yeah.
That could have been another way he could have played this.
Most people fly over the walking path between the natural and the front. Like, that's where I put turrets, because that's where everyone likes to try to fly Arbiter in. But yeah, the thing is, realistically, go Arbiter and just take a 4th base is the right way to play something like this. I'm surprised that he tries to attack into this entrenched position off of 3 base, because it's a little bit all in, Like, if you don't smash the entire army, and Sharp had 5 tanks left, that's really healthy for Terran. Sharp's got to be feeling good. He must have 2-1 by now. Well, I guess he doesn't, but he will very shortly, I think. And now Sharp's starting to push out. Dude, he's maxed out. As long as he's careful here and he watches for recall, this is a tough game for Best.
Yeah, this is really bad for Best here. I mean, Sharp is really not doing anything wrong. I have no criticisms of him at all.
Yeah.
Best is going to try to buy time. Keep in mind that Terran maxed out once those upgrades kick in. So he has 1-1 now. He should have 2-1 in a second. That will make his army better than the Protoss'. In fact, I don't even know what the Protoss' army is at. Is it +2 attack? Is that it?
I'm not sure. I haven't clicked on it in a bit, but it should be right around there. +1 or +2 already done. Now, Sharp maxed out, Best maxed out. Sharp taking that 4th base. He's getting into a good position. I think here you just set up nicely and you wait for Best to make a mistake, because it really feels like Best is ready to make a mistake of an attack.
Now, you almost want to, like a giant broom, sweep up the Protoss army. You kind of follow it around and keep damaging it. You don't want to let them run around you. There is no Psy Storm, by the way, that I saw. It's just Zealot Dragoon. This is where you do see the limitations of Arbiter tech if you got at a disadvantage early on. He does have Stasises pocketed, but Terran has EMP. So this is pretty tough. Look at how Sharp, he pushed the army back. He then loops back around. He wants to hit from the other side. He probably has an EMP ready to get into this Arbiter. The Arbiter can dodge if controlled perfectly, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. If you click it away, the EMP will miss if you clicked it onto the Arbiter. So you got to actually kind of metagame it. And in fact, gets a decent EMP off, but already the Stasis went down. Catches another one. That's big. Throws down an EMP on that army. There is one more Arbiter coming in, but no energy on it. Sharp, where's the rest of your army? This is only a portion of his army down here. 1 million Zealots coming in, and 2 Dragoons.
Yes, and 2 Dragoons are here. Where is the rest of Sharp's stuff?
Yeah.
There it is. Some of it's up there, but, not a terrible exchange here for Best. Again, I think over time, Sharp can just overpower Best in this position. They're even on bases, although Sharp isn't mining at 12 o'clock yet. That is an inevitability. And now he can siege up over here. and start to shell this base at 6 o'clock. I don't think we're going to be in this game much longer, Tastosis.
No. We're not. You know, I got to say, I'm a little bit sad for Best because we want him to win an ASL. We know how good he is. But, dude, when you're playing against someone who went for a clean gasless expansion and, you know, they're turtling on 3 bases and you go 3 base, you go 2 base Arbiter into, like, mass units and attack move them, I got to say, like, that's... just looking at the theory, the thing is, I know that Best wins games like that, and we laugh about it because he does that a lot, and he still wins games. But the theory behind it is completely wrong. And when you're playing someone close to your level, it shouldn't work. And that's what Sharp showed us here.
Well, also, he never held off some kind of push that allowed him to set up for that. I feel like when we see Best win games like that, it's tearing the 2 bases hard.
Yeah.
And Best barely holds it off, and then he just basically sits back and only makes zealots and busts them. You know, a 4th base a little bit late here, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, honestly, very disappointing game from Best. He did not look good there. If he plays a few more games like that, he's going to get eliminated. We're going to go back now and look at where this bust came in from. I think the stasis was questionable. It's
bad.
important to remember that Protoss can't see how deep the entrenched position goes.
Yes.
I don't think there was any way to get 2 tanks. Maybe at the top right. Maybe you could have gone there. I think the Vultures just weren't a good play.
Yeah. Well, they blocked everything. It was actually, this was good for Sharp. That literally got in the way of those Zealots. You can see the Zealots taking massive amounts of splash damage there as they run in. And, you know, it's just, it's like, I don't get it, man. I don't know why he's attacking like that. You know, he's losing such a large army. It's not like he has this huge economy. If you're attacking in like this, you've got to have the economy to refill that army. And if you don't, just buy time and get it. Don't attack.
And get a 4th base.
Yeah.
Get a 5th base, too.
Get a 4th base, man.
you lose the fight, you're on 3 bases. It's not going to go well. Oh, man. Well, Sharp does take game number 1 here. We're going to go to a short break. We come back. This best of 5 will continue on with game 2. Stay tuned.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분? 각도로 말할게. 이 바퀴 내 무게가 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메시가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어 너의 커스텀 값. 만들어봐. 네 의자에 꿀려.
go so fast. I wanna make them last. Slow down, don't grow up. Never forget my love. You could be anything that you
Welcome back, everybody. This best of 5 continues on. I'm a little bit worried about the series now.
Yeah.
After seeing how Best played back there, like that was, I don't know. I was in a good mood all day today because I was so excited to see these two duke it out. And honestly, that last game was maybe the most disappointing game of the entire season. Would you agree, Tastosis?
It certainly was really disappointing. If you do a 3-base attack, it better do something for Protoss. It better, because really, like 3 bases where you can really macro up, but you can't refill your army. You need at least 4 bases to refill your army. So I'm really surprised he did that. I don't know why he thought he could beat Sharp with that after a gasless expand. It doesn't make sense.
At 3-base play, it's kind of an exploit. It looks silly, but you get maxed out so fast. But honestly, Sharp was already so far ahead. He was able to shut it down and basically have one of the easiest late games ever. We're going to go on to game number 2 now on Blitz Y. Right now, Sharp with a 1-0 lead versus Best. Okay, this is a 2-spawn map. It is Terran at the top and Protoss at the bottom. We have a lot of gas steals on this map. I don't know if we're going to have one yet, but we'll know in about a second or two here because the probe has to be sent out very quickly. I do, and I think Tastosis, you basically agree with me on this. I feel like you almost have to gas steal if you can this matchup. It just in a competitive format, you're kind of crazy to not do it. But maybe Best doesn't do it this time.
I think he will. Like you said, if you can completely dictate the early portion of the game with your choices and you choose not to do that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. When I don't get gas on a 2-player map, I'm like, okay, what? It's just... Guys, just to make this clear, sending the probe across to steal the gas, you might be like, well, it's 100 minerals, Tastosis. It literally, because you have to attack it with SCVs, it costs the Terran more than 100 minerals in lost mining time to kill it with SCVs. So it's just a good move. And the fact that you're slowing that down, it's like Protoss has all these options. You could expand, you could go tech, you could do anything. So people who don't do it, it doesn't make sense. Maybe in some very deep mind game, there is some way that you can make it to your, to your advantage to not gas steal. But the guy who just attacked with 3 bases into a gasless expand that was turtled is not making a mind game like that tonight.
So this is obviously not a proxy gate gas steal, although we did have a couple seasons where Bisu, I think Mini earlier this season did that. Obviously, there's many variations of each type of build order, but this is going to be a 1-base, no proxy gas steal, and this time the gateway's in the main. The last 2 years, gas steals have been most popular with the gateway at the entrance, and you take a quick nexus. Now, I don't know if there's going to be gas taken here for the Protoss or not. We have seen players become a little bit more experimental with teching along with the Terran as the Terran tries to recover the gas.
This eBay block, I love this move. I think it's a great follow-up to being gassed. If you can get that down, it just slows Protoss from taking that expand. Because that's what we figured out. Eclipse was in the map pool forever. So, there was a lot... Eclipse was actually in the map pool Tastosis. What was it? For, 3-4 years. Played in everything. So, we actually learned so much about 2-player maps. And the biggest thing we learned is gas steal a few Zealots into Nexus is the strongest thing you can do. It's insane. But yeah, running down there, blocking with the eBay, forces the game into a more even state. And you can see here still, Best will be able to get that Nexus up, and I think Sharp is just going to follow him right away.
Yeah, we're going to have a few more Zealots banked up down here. It's kind of funny he puts the command center that much further back.
Oh
I guess
God.
if you try to run in and peek with the Zealots, you would be like, oh, my God, this is so smart.
That's why you put the SCV on the right side of the bunker so that the Zealots would check on the left, because you always check if there is a command center being made. So now that he sees that there is not, he'll play a much more defensive game. Oh my God, what a clever move here from Sharp.
It's really smart. The Zealots are going to come up again. I don't think he can even get in there and get that much intel.
Dude,
this is just so bright. Okay, he sends it up again.
Dude, he just checked again, and a forage goes down. Sharp has really planned this so well, guys. And in fact, the fact that he has 6 Marines, that's enough that you don't want to try to run by with Zealots. Because if you try to run by with the Zealots, you see the command center and you just play normal. Here, he's getting a forage. He's like, oh, well, it's a Marine SCV all in. It's absolutely not. And Sharp is selling it like it is so hard. Oh, my God. What an opener here from Sharp.
I mean, this is so smart. And by the way, the cannons, I mean, what a waste here for Protoss. Basically, Protoss thinks that he's getting all in.
Yes.
So he knows he just has to hold off, whether it's stimmed Marines or a Marine SCV rush, or, you know, stim Marines with tanks later. That can be a thing as well on one base. But nothing's coming. And so this delays the tech here for Best. And Sharp is really just getting like an upper hand. In the dance of the two players scouting each other, Sharp has thrown out enough false information and red herrings and everything. Best just doesn't know what kind of game he's in. He doesn't know that he's in a macro game. Now, Best can still play this out, but keep in mind, when you go for Nexus first, the Observer's so late, you just don't have any intel. Don't know what's going on in the game. So you try to get as many reads as you can early on. And it's so funny because I can't think of a game that I casted where I've seen the command center placed there.
Yeah.
And now that I look at it, it's such an obvious smart move. Like, everybody should be doing that in every game.
Yes. Yes, and not just that, also the bunker was far forward, and we've talked about this a lot of times. Anytime you see a bunker far forward like that, that is the worst position can be against a mass Dragoon attack, because there's so much surface area and it's so far away from your command center. So Terran's put it there to deny seeing whether or not they have a command center, right? So, like, he baited him in literally every way. He forced him to make this huge error of spending 300 minerals. Because that error was made, all the tech is later. There's no pressure on Sharp. Sharp is in a fantastic spot. Now, the game is not just over because of this. Like, there's a lot of play to be had. But Sharp has the advantage. There is not a question there.
Scan comes down. He's going to see the Reaver tech. Now, the Reaver tech is not that crazy, right? At this point in time, generally speaking, Reavers are more common mid-game than they are uncommon. This push is going to come out, though. Now, look, he's laying some mines in the path where the Dragoon will retreat through. So this is another way to just cut off one more Dragoon. Right now, we're going to have 5 Zealots and 1 Dragoon to fight off this. Well, I guess he's not even going to actually push, is he?
Well, he was getting 2 add-ons, so I think he is going to push. Maybe he's just gathering his units together, or maybe he thinks that the timing, because he already saw the shuttle and the Reaver thing done, so like maybe he wants to try to block that first, because if you do a push and a Reaver comes at the same time, you know, it becomes pretty messy. Maybe he just pulls back and waits for a 5 factory timing, but like a 5 factory timing here is deadly. Like, you know, he's got such a nice advantage after that wasteful cannon. I think if Sharp just goes into, you know, Goliath range, gets his 5 factories out, defends the Reaver well, and goes, that's a really hard game, a really hard push for Best to hold.
So he's going to send the shuttle up now. You got to be very conservative with the shuttle. This is almost more of a control play here. You don't want to try to fly in his base, because he can't have Goliaths that will just shoot this down right away. Protoss takes a 3rd base. At this kind of forward spot. Not ideal for Protoss to expand to, but it seems like the Vultures basically denied the expansion in the bottom left. There's 2 bases you can take there. Neither can be seized right now for Best. I got to say, Sharp is playing the first couple minutes of every game so well. It may make for some pretty underwhelming mid games and late games here. Because, you know, I think we've all experienced this when you play against someone who's so much better than you, and they've steered you into a direction that's so not where you need to be. You're trying to recover, but everything's late and your rhythm's all off. That's what game 1, and so far here in game 2, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, Sharp absolutely has given himself these advantages that you normally don't see on the Terran side. It's, you know, you see a lot of games that open up and you're like, all right, Protoss did a good job here. You know, Terran's playing a little bit blind. They don't know what's going on. And Sharp has actually forced that into the you know, the other way, where it's like, yeah, Best has no idea. He's like making a cannon. You know, it's like when you see a Terran going like siege mode and turret because he couldn't scout, and then Protoss goes 3 bases immediately, right? It's like, oh, damn, that sucks. That just happened to Best. And so Sharp has this big, nice advantage, and a lot of this is going to come down to these Reavers right here. If he loses those quickly, Sharp is going to kill him. He needs to maintain these. Ooh.
Tastosis making his owl mating call there.
Dude. Well, this is
all over YouTube. There's owls getting horny hearing Tastosis make that sound. Okay, so he doesn't lose the Reaver back there.
Yeah,
what he's doing is he's forcing him to siege over and over. But again, if the Reavers are sniped, you just roll the Protoss.
Yeah.
The Reavers are what allow you to really make the Terran respect you.
The Observer, of course, checking the siege and unsiege timing. Sharp is being very careful, which is okay. He's laying these mines. This is perfect. This is exactly what you want to do, is lay mines and have turrets on that side so a counterattack can't come in. This is not good from Best. What is he doing?
What?
What was that?
What?
What was that? If we were casting StarCraft 2, I'd be like, well, that was a weird time to use all-army hotkey and misclick. Like, what? Like, he literally saw him lay mines and then, like, ran into them with a move command. Very... Man, Best having a hard time here.
Yeah, this is getting worse and worse. Now, it's not like he lost all his Dragoons, but it's definitely a bad sign. The 4th base is being taken. By the way, he's going for Gateway Man again. Very Best-esque style. It is with delayed Templar Archives. So this is not Arbiter, by the way, guys. Okay, hold up. Did Sharp overextend here? Oh.
Yeah, I think he may have Tastosis. His Vultures are on the left. The Zealots are on the right. And, in fact, they're going to get all over these siege tanks. So Sharp, with a missed push here, doesn't go down the little hallway. The little hallway is what makes it so Zealots can't do that to you. So kind of a weird choice from Sharp. Finally seeing Sharp make a big error here. And suddenly, Best is at an advantage.
Well, I think Best might be able to roll him here.
He might, yeah.
I don't know why Sharp moved out that far onto the map. He is going to lose 1 Reaver to the Spider Mine.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is kind of all you got to do at this phase of the game here. Oh my God, the mine!
Okay, yeah, this was pretty big from Best, but that's a big error from Sharp. I was actually going to say, Tastosis, like he had started his 3rd command center in his main. And you had just mentioned that Best is going Gateway Man. It's like, well, what's the counter to Gateway Man with this? You just make a 3rd command center and you feel way ahead. But then Sharp also brought his entire army towards the center of the map. But, like, he didn't have his Vultures with his tanks and Goliaths, so he lost all of his high-value units. You know, that was a big blunder.
It was a really big blunder. I mean, it seems like a really kind of counterintuitive move. Maybe he thought he could surprise Best, but like that's the wide open area. If you take this small narrow bridge that extends down here, you can basically stack tanks and Goliaths, and the Protoss doesn't have any surface area to fight on. But that's exactly what he didn't do. Now Best, you know, there were some sloppy moments in the attack in over there, but the big story is that the tank count's been reset. And you know, the Terran is nothing without their tanks. You can have as many Vultures and Goliaths as you want. You need to have siege tanks that they're covering, or you can't do anything. Zealots and Dragoons can just beat up on Vultures and Goliaths. It's the tanks covered with mines as well that make you afraid. Now, this play was speed shuttle into Templar tech, so this is a bit of a more modern approach. But I think that we're going to see Sharp struggle to get to his third base. I think Best can play a control game. Whenever Sharp extends too deep, that's when the Psystorms are going to come down. This whole high ground area, this platform that you see Terran trying to fight up, not a lot of surface area. A couple storms can basically hit everything that fills that area up.
Yeah, you gotta kind of push everything back with turrets and Goliaths there, lay a bunch of mines, spread some siege tanks, and then it becomes very hard for Protoss to attack. You know, one thing to mention, it's like, yeah, Sharp is definitely behind after that. Good move by Best. But looking at just the overall like strategy, the direction of the game, you know, the one thing about like Speed Shuttle, High Templar, plus a lot of Gateway units, it's actually hard to kill Terran when they're entrenched. So, yeah, you know, that's the thing. If Best starts wasting attacks, that's where maybe Sharp can catch up.
Well, he's going to actually storm the mines. I think he literally got one mine with that.
Yeah.
But he is going to break this open. Now, just like Tastosis was saying, which is true, it's hard to break them when they're entrenched like this. I think Best still is the very best in the whole world at doing this, and he is going to break them.
Yeah.
Comes in here and wipes this out. And as long as the Dragoons can take out the final tank on the high ground and the Zealots get to the tanks that are on the low ground, I think you're probably going to force Terran to lift off here.
Yeah, it seems, I think Sharp is just barely going to force staying here. You can see how low his tank count is. Like, imagine if he hadn't lost that other army, man. He'd be 100% invincible. Instead, you see Best getting in here. He's reducing tank counts once again, and we all know that that is the key to victory in this matchup.
Yeah, well, he's getting these Zealots down here. You know, the only thing that's remaining is just one tank onto the low ground. SCVs are getting hit. He takes that out, so he can just basically sidestep away from this. And look, this is all you got to do. It's so funny. Best is just so solid at these low econ games. I feel like all the other Protosses concluded that Terran was too good at this and then tried to invent a whole other style like mass speed shuttle. Or even double robo, and you try to drop into the main, and then Best goes, no, I'm still too good at this. It just runs in and clobbers the Terran again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a terrible position for Sharp right now, and it really does all come back to that attack in the center that just had no meaning, no reason to do it, losing all of his tanks, all of his Goliaths. He just doesn't have enough to hold on. This is Best's win. Like, there's no coming back from this point. Nobody in the world is coming back to beat Best here.
Well, Best, yeah, I don't see him losing this.
No.
Most important moment in every Best game is the point where you see all the Zealots move through a spot where none of them should be able to get through, and then they do get through, and suddenly the tanks are just sitting there totally exposed, and everything gets, you know, trampled. This is actually Sharp with sub 100 supply, very low number of tanks. We have 2 shuttles inbound, probably one with Zealots, the other with Templars.
He's
Look at this.
Oof. Yeah, bombing in. The command center not even landed here. Storm's going down. Zealots get on top. GG is called, and Best going to take game number 2. But let's not forget, Sharp way out-opened him that game, right? And Sharp even started his 3rd command center against the Gateway man of Best. Like, you know, Sharp was well ahead and then threw it away himself. So definitely a mistake. You know, that's the thing about StarCraft, man. Everyone, even the world's top players, are making mistakes all the time. It's a game of incomplete information. There's a lot of stress on them right now looking for that top 4 spot, which gives you a seed into the round of 16 next season. You know, this is a huge match, and you can see both of them making some mistakes, but also some brilliant plays.
So we're tied up 1-1. Sharp with some scary early game, but Best is still too good at Gateway Man. So this is where we got scared for him. This was a weird moment. I can't see how you could have accidentally right-clicked on the mini-map.
No.
Actually, you know what? Actually, yeah, I think I do see how. I think he tried to right-click to the bottom left on the mini-map and ended up hitting the wrong spot, and they right-clicked in there.
Maybe. Yeah, it was kind of a weird move. But here's that move out, guys. Look, 141 supply to 108. Like, they have the same worker count, and he has a 3rd command center finishing. And, like, has no idea what's going on. Just walks down here and gets wrecked. Huge mistake. This is where Sharp lost the game.
I mean, this was... Everything else doesn't matter. This was by far the most important moment. I can't really understand what the rationale was for moving out here either. I don't really see it.
And especially in that direction. Like, what are you, like, pre-storm, you should always go through that little center area. You know? Like, there, Zealots can't flank you. That whole army being shoved through there, the Terran army would beat. So, just nothing about that makes sense. But yeah, here we are. We're tied up 1-1. Both sides making a poor attack that allowed their opponent to capitalize, you know, in each game. And now we're down to just like a best of 3 now. Citadel going to be our next map.
Citadel is where we're going to find out which player will actually be taking the lead here. Short break coming up, or I guess we're going to be on camera here. Okay.
I guess so.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one. So, yeah, I do still worry for Best going into this game number 3 here. It does seem like if Sharp doesn't make, like, the worst error you could possibly make in the matchup, which is to just lose your push, all the units you're building up in the mid game, Sharp does seem to be a bit stronger. Best is still very reliant on not cheesing early on. We don't see any really quick Reaver drops like going into the main. Nothing's proxied. Instead, it's just more reliance on breaking a Terran down that can't hold a third base.
Yeah, it's really just pure macro. And you know, I like the approach, and I think it can be a very strong approach, but you have to make the right choices with your army. Like, that's the really important thing. And when we see things like a 3-base attack, like 3-base attack, man, is all in. Like, you have to actually kind of kill them with it. You need to be going up to 4-base. You need to be going up to 5-base, in fact. That's really the inflection point of playing against 3-base Terran, is when you take that 5th base, what does Terran do? But yeah, Best kind of being a bit wasteful in game 1. That does make me nervous. He did get tricked in game 2. That happens to anybody. That was great planning from Sharp. So I'm not, like, overall worried about Best just getting tricked all night. That's something you're going to use one time, and it's like, yeah, you could use it again, but your opponent's going to be more aware of it now.
You know, I don't think Best can play like this every single game in a best of 5. I think you have to be mixing it up a little bit, whether it's Nexus first or some kind of a proxy.
Yeah.
But he might just go for that. You know what I'm saying? He might just kind of stick with this one style. It has been a theme with Best throughout the ASLs, as he does seem to struggle with the formation of a lot of different strategies on a bunch of different maps and StarLeague formats like this one.
Yeah.
He's very good. If you throw him into games without any prep, he seems to be able to beat everybody. Even Flash, when Flash was, you know, still on top, Best was one of the only people who could hang with him. But yeah, it's a little bit different from like Mini or Snow, where they seem to come in here with a really wide range of play styles. We'll see if I'm wrong about that. I actually hope I am wrong, and we get to see him do some different stuff. But if he's just going to go Gateway Man, 3-base, or Terran's 3rd base bust style, I think Sharp can make a couple small adjustments in each game and probably win here.
I do agree with you on that. Well, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be map number 3 on Citadel between Best and Sharp.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분 컬러로 말할게. 이 의자, 내 아름다움이 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메쉬가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어, 너의 특별 할인값. 만들어봐, 네 의자에 꿀자세.
Thank you for waiting, everybody. We're going to be hopping into our next game here. It's been close. It does seem like it's not our cleanest play from either side, but at the same time, you don't need the cleanest play to have a good series with these two guys.
Yeah.
You have one game where, I think a poorly done attempted bust, maybe a little bit too much of an attempt to like just close the game out. And then it's just a bad push from Sharp.
Yeah.
The best Protosses know how to crush Terrans in entrenched positions. Best Terrans know how to push out on the map versus Protoss, so it's kind of been funny to see how Game 1 and Game 2 have gone because we're seeing some glaring mistakes on both sides.
Yeah, but that's a part of Brood War's beauty. It's like a game that just can't be played perfectly. This is a big difference between like StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2, like at the top pro level, like players of this caliber, you just won't see many mistakes against each other. Here in Brood War, it's like you're always going to be seeing mistakes being made. There's so much to manage. There's so much to do, and there are so many different mid-game and early-game scenarios that just make it really hard to make these choices. Now, I'm not sure what it is that made Sharp think that when his third command center was finishing, he should attack the center with Goliath Tank. Maybe it's the pressure, maybe it's something else. That was like a crazy idea, but at the same time, with Best, it's like, yeah, I don't know why you attacked 3 bases on Sharp. Maybe they've gotten it out of their system now, and we're going to see cleaner games towards the late game here, starting on map 3.
I really hope so. As far as the vote goes here, you can see on screen, Best at 67%. So that's a little bit higher than I even thought it was going to be. I feel like this is still a close one. I know you and I both thought he was probably going to take it. I guess if I could put it like this, maybe everybody thinks he's probably going to take it, but isn't necessarily going to dominate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 67% is pretty damn good in a poll.
Oh, not too bad. 67% of fans think he's going to win. Not too surprised about that. And yeah, looking at these games so far, I do feel like Sharp is playing maybe slightly better. Yeah, he made that mistake, but a great mind game to open it. And these 2-player maps are a bit tough against Protoss. So let's see as we get into map number 3. It's going to be Citadel. This is a 4-player map. It's one of these, 16 base maps. So, generally those go pretty well for Terran, right? Like, especially if you're close spawn to the Protoss.
Yeah, let's see where the spawns are going to be exactly. This is Sharp's pick before we go on to Best pick on Apocalypse here. And we close it out on Retro if we're lucky enough to get a game number 5. Tied up 1-1. One of these 2 players is going to move up ahead and take that lead. Will it be Best? And will he be doing it with that Gateway Man style, just crushing the Terran at the third base? Or is it going to be Sharp, who, by the way, in the first few minutes of every game has basically played a perfect game and hit everything correctly? Let's get into game 3 now. Let's do this. So we have Protoss here in the bottom left. Sharp in the top right. Cross spawns once more, just like they were in game 1. By the way, this guy both tweeted at me, wrote me on Instagram, and a couple other things. And we've been doing this forever, and maybe you and I knew this at some point in time, Tastosis. We were talking previous ASL about how we don't use the clocks. We'll use like 12-6, 9-3, because that's easy for people to know, but we don't bother with anything beyond that because it's just not a convenient way to talk about the game, especially when it comes to corners. I didn't realize until this guy reminded me, it's in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. You'll see it when the game overlays back up. Technically, this is 7 o'clock versus 1 o'clock.
Oh. Yeah, I guess that's
T7,
bottom left.
T1?
Bottom left, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. How long have we done this for?
That's kind of funny. Well, okay, but here's the thing. These graphics are on there actually for the people watching. You and I have watched so many games. I don't even see those graphics. Guys, if you could, if we put an eye tracker, if we put an eye tracker on, you would notice that I watch the mini map for 80% of the game. I'm literally watching the mini map, and based on the timing of the game, right? I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a factory. Okay, no, that's a command center. You know, and oh, that must be the engineering bay. It's just like, I don't know. So that's cool that that's there, but I think I don't think I've ever used that, you know? I've never been like, well, I wonder what
I've never even really noticed the T1 and the P7 there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that was always there. But yeah, that's funny. So I guess if we really wanted to use the clock,
Mandela effect, man. It's the Mandela effect. This was never there before, I swear to God.
It's Nexus first, by the way, for best.
Yes. Okay. Okay. This is actually what we should have been talking about. So this is cross spawn Nexus first. Okay. Cross spawn Nexus first. This is the hardest thing that there can be here for Sharp to be playing against. And in fact, this is what I believe this is exactly what he hit in the previous round. Yeah, he was a cross spawn in the bottom right, playing against top left, and it was a Nexus first play from Snow, if you remember, right? And he like came up, Sharp went 3 factory after his expansion and tried to utilize tank, Vulture, Marine, and actually attacked into the Reaver, and it just didn't work, and he got just plowed. So we'll see if something similar happens. He finds out once again, it's like every time he plays Citadel, he's cross-spawn Nexus first. That's fun. But yeah, this is the one thing that is going to make this really, really hard. Anything else, and it's like, okay, this is all very doable, but yeah, like notoriously the hardest thing to play against.
Yeah, this is actually, when I first came back and was trying to learn Nexus first, this is what I was copying, and everybody was like, no, you don't want to do this anymore. You want to be greedier. And I was like, really? It seems like it's gone full circle. So this is Nexus first, designed to hard counter a Terran that rushes it. Yeah. So he has the opportunity to make 2 Zealots and then 2 Dragoons. And then there's even some opportunities to counterattack with this. As funny and as crazy and as wrong as that sounds, there is the rush after Nexus first. Yeah. Opening for Protoss, and it's really, really good. Now, luckily for Sharp, he did not overextend an attack in. By the way, I'm sorry, it should have been 2 Zealots, or normally it is. It's only 1. Best canceled 1 Zealot to get 2 more probes out, so that's also really strong by him.
Oh, but the Vulture gets here in time, so he's actually going to start losing some probes. A good drill, but excellent micro from Sharp. Turns around. Oh, he misclicks and does not get a kill on that probe, so doesn't get as much damage as he could have, but still a pretty quality Vulture. And also, I want to mention that Marine. That Marine actually caused, like, probably 80 minerals of loss mining time there for best, right? Like, that was a pretty significant Marine. So Sharp has done 2 very small things here. The quick Vulture, with the quicker factory there, followed up by, or the Marine before that, and actually gotten, little things going his way, which is nice.
What is this SCV doing down
He's going to make a command center.
Make a starport?
No, that's a command center.
Oh, wow. I guess it makes sense. You don't have the observers out right away. So you can just make a super quick 3rd command center and put spider mines everywhere, and it's hard to deal with.
That's certainly his plan. And looking at the position he's taking, it does make some sense. You do have that 1 high ground ramp that you can siege tanks on, but this is really about getting the mines down in place. His opponent went for the very fast 2 gate to make sure he could not be rushed, and that's why he can do this, because the observatory will be a little bit late. He can lay mines, which will make no units come, but Best going 3 gate obs. Okay, Best is, I feel like this is good for Best. Because if he's going to go 3 gate obs and this is mines into 3rd, rather play against like a Reaver, because you're going to be very low on units. So just a good spread of ranged Dragoons coming up, like they'll be able to take out any mines, and then suddenly it's like, well, how many tanks can Sharp truly have when this hits? Is he going to have 3 tanks? 4 tanks? Their position almost doesn't matter because it's going to be so many Dragoons.
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, this is always where I feel like it's a little bit uncharted territory for me. These 2 builds specifically, this is, if you watch my stream, I don't Nexus first anymore. I just go for like one gate and try to play like kind of a, and maybe that's probably why I should be a higher rank, because I'm not doing a build that's exploitative. But I find this to be a pretty tricky game to Protoss.
I'm on board with that. I should be higher rank too. I should be doing more exploitative builds and be higher rank.
It's just that I use the harder builds, guys.
Yeah, sickest copium going on in this commentary right now.
Now, can you go for carrier here right away? Or do you want to kind of stay powering on gates?
Well, I think the first things first is you got to move across the map with your 3-gate obs. Like, I think he's going to be in good shape. Look at this. He's actually taking his 3rd Nexus in a forward position here. Dude, this is turning into kind of a funny-looking spot, isn't it? With Sharp expanding to the center and Best expanding to the center, they're going to both rally there completely. Like, we're going to see fireworks in the middle unless Best gets ahead right now.
Also, I don't know if there is a gateway man bust for this 3rd base, because the way the game started is so different. So, I mean, it's Best. He might try something that looks a lot like that, but this is a different game as far as development goes. So he's going to throw down a 4th base really quickly. This is one of the crazy things when you have 2 guys that are going for macro plays, as they start to out-greed each other.
Yeah.
Like, we might even see a 5th Nexus thrown down pretty quickly.
Well, you know, I think Sharp would actually be happy if he threw down his 5th Nexus, because he will attack. But I got to say, this setup, I thought when I saw 3-gate obs, he was going to be able to get in here. That setup is unbelievable. Imagine Dragoons trying to attack that. The depot kind of zones everything out. The 2 tanks on the high ground, the other one in the mineral line behind a bunker. That is an amazing setup. Like, that is so hard to break. Very good planning there by Sharp. I was not sold when he was going to take the center as his 3rd. I was thinking maybe 12 o'clock is a bit more defendable because of the, you know, the small choke you'd have to get through to attack it, but that is beautiful right there.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to crack open. So, for now, it's going to be a big explosion in gateways, a big explosion in factories. We have the Robo support bay here, and we've got that Citadel of a Dune, so he may be going into kind of that powering gateway man style. He may also just get speed and go right into Templars as well. I see an SCV up at 12 o'clock, Tastosis. Is there a chance he makes a command center there?
Yeah. Well, if he goes command center, because he's already got a very good factory count, and if he just goes Mega Turtle with that factory count, he won't be broken. And, like, if he takes a 4th base, man, 4 base for Terran, like, you get a 4th base quickly. Normally, you don't even have your 3rd started by now, by the way, just to make this really clear. And the 3rd's been mining for a while, so he's having insane amounts of income. He's spending perfectly. He hasn't been supply blocked. This is fantastic play from Sharp. And so if he makes that additional base, this game just becomes the most unreal macro game so quickly, because Best is going to have to, like, take 2 bases after that.
By the way, if you look at the observers in the middle of the map, it's a little bit harder to see now because there's a line of Dragoons moving through, but there's 3 observers spread out. Actually, a 4th one just to the far right to see anything that's going to go around the stairs on the side. This is a Protoss that looks like he's ready to brace for impact and try to fight a push. But that command center is being made at 12. So Sharp's going to keep on macroing. This is wild.
It is wild. Best has no vision of that. He doesn't realize, but he sees the factory count. Because normally if you take 3 factories quickly like this, it's all about getting as much supply as quickly as you can. But the fact that Sharp is actually taking a 4th and he has mines laid out really well, I got to tell you, this is the best version of Sharp that I have ever seen. And I watch more Sharp than anybody. Like, he is my favorite Terran player to watch, and this is literally the best play I've ever seen out of him. I've been a Sharp fan since 2017 now, so 7 years of Sharp play. Dude, he's playing unbelievable StarCraft here today. He's sewn up tight. His placement's amazing. His macro is 100% on right now. Look at the supply he has. 4 bases matching Best's 4 bases. Dude, Best can't attack him. You know, like, maybe he can try to do some harassment or something.
I think he will attack, man. I think he's actually going to try to bust here. I mean, we see so many Zealots collected down there. And, you know, we were talking about Gateway Man probably not likely to work here because he's probably going to have to hold off the push. But here we are. We've got the Zealots all selected. We have them moving out on the map. I think Best is basically trying to clear mines and look for an opening. And, I mean, I don't know, man. This is a maxed out Protoss. This is a lot of stuff. I mean, the tanks are pretty spread out. We got 3 over there, 2 here. I know there's probably a tank or 2 in the main, but like,
dude, I don't
know.
I don't like this from Best. He is attacking in, but we have 150 supply for Sharp. Look at this. The Zealots being evaporated as they walk in. Okay, he's killed like 2 tanks so far. Still a lot of mines in there. The Reaver's trying to come in, but look at Sharp's army rally up. Like, Best is losing a lot here. Look at that. His entire army is getting shredded. Why is he attacking?
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. That was a little bit weird. I feel like could have maybe clipped off a little bit and then ran back and regrouped and tried to attack in. The funny thing with Best, and we've said this so many times when talking about his games, but the number of times I see him move into a position that looks impossible and then he's kind of fine. This has happened more times than I can count, but I think that was maybe one of his worst engages. He has gone for double robo, so this could be a pretty tough style for the Protoss to deal with, but I'm less worried for Sharp about Best tech and more worried about Best as far as Sharp having the same number of bases, at least for now. I say that as Best takes a 5th, but you know, there's a point where you do need to get further ahead from them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
this is a...
Yeah.
I mean, storms are going to be not bad here, but I don't think this is going to be enough.
No, like, I don't think Sharp cares about that too much. He has plenty of SCVs right now. And right now, I think, as far as Sharp goes, all he needs to do is go towards max. There's a lot of pressure on Best right now because he didn't have a lot of bases. Like, a 4-base attack is less all-in than a 3-base attack, but he's playing against a 4-base Terran. It's like, your even bases and your attacking is... It's a tough thing. And Sharp is just, there's no way to bust him at any point in this game. You know, maybe Best harasses more and gets more done. But if Sharp just macros cleanly, continues to upgrade, Best needs another plan.
It seems like he wants to do Psystorm drops now, but, you know, it's going to be too long before these kick in and help. You know, the first 1 to 2 Psystorms on the SCVs don't oftentimes kill them if the Terran's pretty fast. You just run away and the SCVs are damaged. Maybe you can kill them later on. But Sharp has basically done everything he needed to do on his side of the map to ensure himself a healthy late game. Mm-hmm. He's getting the upgrades. He's got a lot of factories. I mean, we see these scans coming down here. The SCVs haven't really been killed off. I mean, he's basically milked these 4 bases, for a long time. I think the 5th base is going to come down in a little bit here. He's almost maxed out, which means pretty soon here, all he has to do is push. Also, Best doesn't have a big amount of gateways in another main. Mm-hmm. So if you can push into the bottom left and just pin them in there and then fracture off some tanks and vultures to kill off each of the other bases on the map, you'll probably win.
Yeah. Yeah, I think right now it's about how clean your push is, because there's a lot of shuttles, right? So like if you siege on mines, that's going to be a problem. If your units are too clumped and he gets good Psystorms, that's going to be a problem. So I think it really just has to do with how clean of a push Sharp can do. And you can see he has an unbelievable amount of factories. He has at least 10 factories right now, which is like... Protoss players don't tend to play against that many. A lot of games are decided on like 8 factories or so. So this is huge macro from Sharp. He's starting to move across right now. I love the consistent scans to get rid of the observers, although he does miss that one despite the scan. But yeah, like he is making a very tough game right now for our Protoss Pro.
Yes. He's reached out pretty far on the map. Now, Terran actually pulls back and heads home, by the way. Terran did not want to extend that deep out there. There's a lot of shuttles here. Now, there are some pretty creative plays you can have where you can, like, fly into the main with all these and dump units everywhere. And it's a little bit like a stronger recall, so to speak. You can also use this to just dump zealots on top of the tanks as they try to move out. Especially when Terran gets really, really tank heavy, which is around now in the game. You know, you've been making tanks consistently the entire time out of the factories with the add-ons. Just dumping the zealots on top of them as they push out can be devastating.
Yeah.
So I don't think Best is dead just yet. I do think he needs to get those gateways up. We see them being made here in the top left. Terran has now taken a 5th base. If you get anything more than 5 bases versus a Protoss as Terran, you should not lose the game.
Dude, yeah, no, 5 bases before they mine out is infinity for Terran. It's the craziest thing. Now, all these shuttles going to fly into the 4th. Sharp instantly lifts. It's almost only Zealots in here. So he'll end up killing a lot of SCVs. He'll end up killing the missile turrets, but he does lose all that. I don't feel like that move was super great or super bad or anything. It just was tasteless. Very zen move right there. It is what it is. And now Best getting ready to try to attack into this 5th base, but I think Sharp has enough units here.
Well, maybe he's got him out of position now. I think had this attack at the bottom come in at the same time the drop came in, it would have been better.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like just seeing only Zealots come out here. Even just having like 6 Dragoons or something can let you try to shoot down the command center.
Yeah.
Because, ultimately you're just going to grab 12 SCVs, send them to another patch, and then do that again and again while you lift the command center. So you're not really losing that much, where Terran has given up, I don't even want to know how many minerals worth of Zealots that was.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was 5 shuttles, and there was like 1 High Templar. So, yeah, that's a huge amount.
Okay,
like 2,000 minerals.
Here we go.
Something. Yeah, so
crazy push coming out.
He probably has so many tanks right now, Tastosis, and not everything is with this. He has some tanks back on defense still, but the tank count is going to be unreal. He's had 3 add-ons forever. His army is just going to be so much more efficient. Best really needs to make a lot of tactical moves here to get something to pay off. Now, flying in once again to that 12 o'clock base, figuring that it's not going to be that well defended. He's definitely right. Some Psy Storms going to come down. Pretty good Psy Storms right there. And he is causing some lost mining time. But Sharp has that 3 o'clock base, so I don't think he cares that much.
Another nice storm coming down here. The tanks are going to siege up. Now, I know there were a lot of Zealots back here, but is there ever going to be enough to deal with what is being thrown at Best right now? Best's going to have to back up. He's got some more shuttles. He might be able to shuttle bomb this. We will see. 12 o'clock is not really mining. Another nice blanketing of storms here. No mines that I can see here in this mix, so there's nothing that he can use to maybe draw damage into that. But I think maybe with the shuttle play, this could be a little bit more difficult for Sharp than it might initially look like.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right about that. Like, I love this move from Best. Getting over here and clearing this before he loses that 3 o'clock Nexus. Between the cannons, slowing this down, and then just bombing on top of pure tank. Really, really good move. He's got to do things like this. He has to whittle off these small pieces of army that Sharp is sending around the map to deal additional damage. Yeah, he is going to have to do that again. He can't be losing that base.
I just don't know if he can get in here. I mean, these tanks, these are +3. I mean, you're just seeing what happens when Protoss tries to get near it. They just melt. Another storm drop's going to come in over here. Not quite. Oh, yeah, he does have enough energy. Excuse me. So really, at this phase of the game, Protoss wants to play keep away. Now, there's a lot of money in the bank here for Best. It would be helpful if he could get more gateways in the bottom right. He doesn't have anything over there. But Protoss isn't dead yet. Very close to dead, but not out of the game just yet.
Yeah, that's the right way to put it. He's very close to dead, but he still has stuff. So, right now, Sharp is doing such a good job of splitting some units off. I really thought Best was going to clear that tank push, but he left 1 tank with a D-Matrix on at 3 o'clock, lost that Nexus. And now he had Vultures run by at this top left natural. So painful. You see, like, this unbelievably huge economy that Best had just being shredded by Sharp now.
Yeah, he's got the Zealots and the DT. He might be able to still hold off what's over here. Sharp is maxed out again. There are just so many tanks, it's insane. I mean, when all those tanks siege up, there's just no way you can get near it. You cannot touch it.
I tell you what, like, again, this is by far the best games I've ever seen out of Sharp. He is playing unbelievable. If you covered the names up and you just showed me this and you're like, this is someone right now, I'd be like, is Flash playing again? Like, look at this macro. Look how many units he has. Look at his decision making throughout the game. The speed of his bases, the strength of his counterattacks. This is unreal. And Best is like, he's doing his best trying to clean, but there's so many tanks that Sharp is ignoring what Best is doing. It's
pretty wild. He actually got some great Psy Storms off on those tanks, but I don't know if it matters. Now, the third base should mine out. 12 has been hit several times, and now we see S is going to try to come in here and hit this base on the far right. Now, I mean, is there actually enough to get in there and do any damage? If he can, there's like all the SUVs that have been made this game are in that area. Yeah. The problem is that I don't see any way that he can break these tanks. There's Zealots coming up, but I don't think this is going to be enough.
Yeah, he definitely can't let all those goons die. Like, it's a good move to get rid of the base, but if the goons all just splatter to these tanks, what a good setup by Sharp trying to punish this attack. Oh my god. In the meantime, the top left is falling. Sharp doing a great job on that attack as well. Sharp still has some mining up at 12 o'clock, by the way. But look at this. Best coming in. He's dropping on top of these tanks. Good mine drag right there. Oh my god. Is he going to kill all those tanks as well? I still think Sharp is
that command center.
Yeah. I still think Sharp is winning this for sure, but because the thing is, Sharp has a big army in the top left, and it looks like Sharp is expanding again in that mid top left corner-ish base. I don't know what we even call that kind of central base. But I tell you what, that was pretty well done by Best. Some of these counterattacks have done a good job.
Should be Sharp closing this out, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough resources to vacuum up here for Best. Also, Sharp's almost maxed out again. You know, 5-base Terran, it's like you can't let them get this far along. Unfortunately, it seems like Sharp is just too good at handling the Nexus first opener. Knew exactly how to stay ahead. Didn't even overextend into it. Oh my god. Shuttle's just being picked off so quickly here. We might see Best tap out. I don't think he's got much left.
No.
He does have 4 Templars, so maybe with some really good storms, he could really melt this down. But even then, dude, I'm just seeing so many units everywhere. Everywhere the observer clicks, it's like another full control group of units.
Yeah, it's 100 supply against 200 supply. This is the last engagement of this game. He's getting the best size storms you could ever pray for, and it's not even close enough. GG. Sharp going to take that one down. I tell you what, that is the most impressive macro game I have ever seen out of this man. The fact that he had that setup at the third base to instantly take it against cross-spawn Nexus first. He took his 4th. First off, he made so many factories. You were right. Best was preparing. He was like, oh, Sharp's going to push. And then Sharp makes a 4th command center. And then he makes a 5th command center. Oh, my God. Dude, that was unreal from Sharp. If he keeps up this level, no one was talking about Sharp coming into this season. Was there a better TVP this season than that? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. There are some fundamental issues with how Best is playing, too. You know, it seems like Sharp is just okay sitting back and kind of getting an even better entrenched position. And, you know, Best needs to get a little bit creative here. I like the Nexus first play, but I don't know. He can't just go for this bust style. He might have to mix it up. Sharp is just looking too good against this. Let's not forget that the game that Sharp won was where he just threw with his push. He just moved out versus Gateway Man and got ran over.
Yep. Well, Sharp leads right now, 2-1. Has to be feeling pretty good about that. Yeah, this was the attack where Best really kind of messed up. 4-base versus 4-base. The thing is, he saw how many units Sharp had. And at this supply, you don't die to max Zealot Dragoon. It just doesn't happen. So this did not seem all that good. A really good depot there. Look at how that depot screws up everything. All the Zealots ran down. They were taking amazing amounts of splash damage. You can see everything
the Dragoon's hitting the depot
up.
Too.
Dude, the value of even one depot in these lines cannot be understated.
That was probably where Best was at a real, identifiable, obvious disadvantage.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an easy spot to attack into on this map. It looks like a pretty uncomfortable spot to try to crack open.
Yeah.
Not just there, but even at the Terran's third base. But, you know, there's other ways to play around that.
Yeah, I like Citadel, man. I think Citadel's a totally fine map for Terran, and you can see there Sharp really had just all the areas mapped out, how he wanted to siege up. Beautiful game there from Sharp, who now leads 2-1. And, yeah, I think we're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back...
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분? 각도로 말할게. 바퀴 내 무게가 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메시가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어 너의 커스텀 값. 만들어봐 네 의자에 꿀려.
This best of 5 continues on. Right now, Sharp with a 2-1 lead versus Best.
Yeah, he's really playing out of his mind today. This series is amazingly well prepped, and like this is, I feel like it's Sharp's real return to top form. You know, we've seen him be a top 3, top 4 Terran multiple times earlier on in ASLs, like the first 5-ish ASL seasons. And then he kind of fell off, and all these other guys came up, you know, Royal and JYJ and Rush and everyone. But right now, Sharp looking amazing against Best. And Best is going to have to turn it on here in Apocalypse.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think Sharp, he got this far, he took it really seriously, realized what an opportunity this is. This is doable for him to take on Best. Right now, he's just looking a lot stronger. We need to see a hard reset here for Best. I want to unpack that a little bit more as we go into the game, but it's too late, guys. We're ready to go. This is on Apocalypse. Again, a 2-1 lead here for Sharp. Can Best turn it around, or does Sharp close it out 3-1? Okay, both players in the bottom. Best on the left side and Sharp on the right. So, I want to point out, think of all the Protosses you've seen the last couple seasons. How many still try to bust like this on 3 bases?
On 3 bases? Dude, if you're trying to bust on 3 bases, it's like disrespect to your opponent. You're like, I'm so much better than you, you know?
It's funny because like we've seen a lot of advanced stuff. We've seen like the double or triple shuttle play fly into their main to try to get them off the 3rd base. We've seen stuff like from Snow as an example where he just stays on the perimeter, and anytime anything is there at all, even like one vulture, he'll storm it and then pick it up and run away. Mm-hmm. Just kind of chisel away at the Terran until there's not that much left. And it's not that doing this style of play is wrong, but it certainly seems like the longer these two play games together, less this should work. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And that is actually what we've been complaining about with Best for a long time, man. Remember that round of 8 match against Mini? Where like he just kept on kind of opening the same way and got crushed. Do you remember 2 seasons ago against JYJ? That was our big complaint. I believe that was a round of 4 for Best, right? And against Mine, he did the exact same thing every game, and Mine just figured it out and beat him. It's like you got to have some range. I wish that we could take what Best is good at and have him learn a little bit from Mini. I feel like if you mixed in a little bit of Mini with Best, damn, would you have a good PVT player. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, Mini can do kind of generic stuff, but, and just macro up. But he'll also just, like, look at how a guy opens and be like, oh, I'll cheese that.
Yeah.
I'll cheese that so hard. I can't believe you're doing that many times. I'm just going to hard counter it.
Yeah.
Like, there was a finals, he opened 2 gateways in the middle of the map versus Terran, where it's like, oh, my God, dude. You're disgusting.
You're disgusting.
In this game, by the way, we saw the scout after Pylon. Best made a bet that maybe Terran would be at 12 and he could do a gas steal. It didn't work. So this is not bad for Terran right now. The probe gets here early enough, but doesn't really get any kind of helpful info, and sees that they're going to be going, both players, for pretty traditional openings. It's going to be Pylon, Gateway, Gas, Core, Pylon for Protoss, and Terran is getting Factory, taking 2 SCVs off to leave just 1 behind to mine Vespian Gas. And there's a lot of different ways this game can go for both sides.
Yeah, and just to mention, that was between the 11 Gas and then the probe coming in early to harass and Sharp scouting the wrong main. He had to make a 2nd Marine right away, so he's going to get supply blocked there for just a moment, and not a big deal. But yeah, he's going to get out his Marines. He's not sure if a Zealot's on the map, so we'll see if he makes a bunker or what he wants to do here. You know, sometimes, oh my God, he actually goes add-on right away. Isn't that interesting?
That's unusual. That's a really old way to play.
Okay.
It has mostly been discarded.
If he makes... Okay, the Dragoon is chasing the SCV. This actually allows him to make the command center. If the Dragoon had made a beeline, he would have had to start a bunker right there, because that's where like danger starts. Because if there's a Zealot out, you skip the SCV and you just send the Dragoon. And if you didn't go Vulture against that, you actually pretty much lose the game. It's so much damage that occurs. So he kind of reads that well. Best does not just right click the goon out of his base. But with an add-on this fast, this could be a tank mines push, or I mean, it could be a lot of things.
The probe's going to get in.
Ooh.
This is pretty bad. He's going to see there is a Vulture out, but there's a tank add-on here. He should be able to read that and know what's happening. Also, he sees there's no bunker. So this could give away a pretty big vulnerability. It's nice to see that Best got the scouting he needed to get early on. Sharp is playing super risky by being that far out. But had the probe ran into the Marines, it would have been a lot more confusing for the Protoss.
Yeah.
So great play by Best here.
So 2nd Factory going up. Okay, did he make another Vulture? Is this a speed opener or a mines opener? Can't tell quite yet.
No. There's no starport, right?
Oh, that's a speed opener, my friend. He is just going to try to run past and get some massive damage. Oh, no. Very bad for Best right now. Very tricky opener to put in. That's why he went for that add-on first, because speed takes a long time. But already gets like 4 probes, and he's going to get at least 1 more.
Yeah, I think he'll even get 2 more here.
Yeah.
Unreal, man. That's so much damage.
That's a huge amount.
And he's being really smart with the Vulture. He's really just buying time. He knows he can get 2 more to come in here and hit the front.
Dude, Sharp, I think, is right now punching his ticket to the round of 4. This is such a good opener to mix in sometimes.
And I think Best is punching his desk right now. This has got to be so frustrating to lose this game like this. Like, honestly, if a Vulture gets in my base and kills like 2 probes, I already want to leave. I'm like, no, I'm already so behind. I should not have lost anything so far. And the fact that back at home, Terran is cranking out SCVs, looking so strong.
Yeah. This was such a strong opener. And don't forget, like, he was in there. He got a full scout of everything that's going on. He knows everything. He knows everything about Best. He knows his social security number after that. And he knows his savings in his bank account, and it's 0 because he lost all his probes. Like, Sharp is infinity ahead right now. Best's going to throw down a 3rd Nexus. I think that's the right way to play. He just needs to kind of produce consistently. And hopefully, you know, Sharp makes some sort of misstep. But from here, I think you just go 2 factory siege tank. You get up your factory count. And you can hit a timing push, I think, right? Like, I feel like I would go 5 fact here every time.
Yeah, 100%. You know what's funny? I was thinking back to when Best scouted. That looked so much like a drop. And let's not forget Apocalypse, like, everybody loves to drop on this map. Like, Vulture drops are so strong. There wasn't a pylon wall at the entrance.
That's true.
Normally, there's 2 pylons up there, and that whole area is sealed up. Like, if you go on ladder and play against a bad player, they'll just have a pylon wall there.
Yeah.
You won't kill him.
Yeah.
You won't get any workers in there. But he didn't make the pylons there. He was beginning to make a wall off in his main because he knew he probably had a deal for a drop. And then it allowed for this really basic Vulture, Speed Vulture run-in to happen.
Yeah.
And it's still happening. It still isn't under control yet.
No, the fact that he's still getting damage is shocking as well. Like, it's so painful. And yeah, actually, about the speed build, guys, you won't see it like that often. It's a good mix-in. The only thing it's actually weak to is Dark Templar. But, like, most Terran openers crush Dark Templar. Here, you just won't have the mines against it, right? So you're hoping that there's not some sort of rush with that, and you are kind of gambling. If they do have the wall, it's not like you're dead. You don't really, you know, you don't get any damage, but you can kind of just play on. So Sharp right now is getting up to his 5 factories. He is making siege tanks nonstop. Best, well... Okay, he throws down... I don't even know about the robotic support bay at this point. Like, I don't think a Reaver's going to do anything. Maybe you can slow push a little bit, but I feel like right now it's just produce your probes nonstop, produce your units nonstop, try to get those gateways up. I don't know. Maybe you can take a good engage on the high ground or drag a mine, but Sharp
Honestly,
is...
I think you have to...
Yeah.
You have to go for Reaver, I think.
You think so?
I think you have to try to get good shots while they're pushing in and probably get a second shuttle with Zealots. And even then, I think you lose.
Yeah, it seems far-fetched to me that you're going to be able to, you know, there's going to be Goliath range. If I'm Sharp here, I make 5 Goliaths. If I see the Reaver tech, you know, just like if you pop that shuttle, man, that's about it. Like, it's one of the only things that they can really do. You know, some turrets going up, getting his comm stats. Sharp is just getting every single thing he needs at the moment.
This is going to be an unimaginable mid-game hell for Best. This is just so crappy. Now, he's already cut probes. He knows that the rush is going to come. Let's also not forget, how did Sharp lose earlier in the series? He did have a bad push on 2 bases.
Yep.
So there's that. The Observer suicides in and confirms what's happening. So this is no longer a game of intel, a game of guessing. It is about preparing for impact.
Do you think there's any chance that Sharp will expand? You saw him send that SCV to the 3rd, right? Is there any chance that he thinks that it's a good idea to expand here?
I mean, he could, right?
Like, you can. It's not the worst thing, actually, to just expand when your opponent is spending money on gateway units. It's just he killed so many probes. I feel like you you would feel silly if you lose the game after that many probes, right? Like,
I always feel like when you see an SCV there, normally they put it right where the command center would be, just to be like, look, I'm expanding. Dude, he's gonna. Now, I don't know if he's gonna make or not.
yeah, I don't know.
He would put it over there. If an observer flies over and is killed off, you might start making probes again. Okay, he's making a third base, dude.
Okay. I am okay with this. Like, I think the common knowledge is that you want to do the 5 factory push. This looks somewhat like the Blitz game, where like Sharp definitely has an edge, and the only way for him to get behind right now is losing this army. So if he just sieges up here, and like, look at how many units Best has made. He's only on 3 base. I'll tell you what, I know Best. He's gonna attack. If you siege and spread, then you can just take like a really fantastic engagement like we saw in Radeon in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, is Terran overexposed in this spot? Oh my god.
Oh, tasteless.
Oh, just Brood War things.
Oh no, Best. He's lost so many probes this game. Okay, Sharp. If Sharp does not spread his tanks right now, that's the only thing I'd be thinking about. I'm like, I have to spread my tanks. Like, he is coming for me. He has lost too many probes. He has a huge gateway army. It's Best of all people. Spread those tanks. Get the. Yeah,
oh, he's retreating.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, go back. Don't even stay out in the front. You've done enough damage. And you can see Best is closing in.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Now, here's the thing. Best sometimes will just still come in and break these positions.
Yeah. He's going to try. Like, he's getting ready for it right now. But look at that setup from Sharp. I really think Best needs to expand again. I don't think he's going to break him.
Artosis, I think this guy, it only moves in one direction, man. He can't not try to bust this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, the Goliaths, I'm sorry, the Reavers are going to come out and really open up this area here. They're both picked off. The Zealots are actually beginning to reach into the tanks.
Yeah, he's got more coming from behind.
Tanks at the bottom. Vultures are kind of wedged in between the tanks in this really beautiful formation, which makes it hard for the... Well, hold on a second.
Dude,
he needs to get his Dragoons down here and target these tanks, too. Dude, how does Best do this?
I'm not sure how you can lose that many probes and then do that. I'm not entirely sure about it. Like, Sharp could have been set up a little bit better, and he probably would have held that. Like, if his spread was slightly better there, right? He did have a lot of clump tanks there at the end, but he had good targeting and everything. He had a lot of vultures, and Best ends up basically trading, right? Like, he killed every single siege tank there, and that's what you want as Protoss for sure.
I want to see some first-person games of Best doing this. I want to understand how he makes this work every time. It's crazy.
I want to understand how he doesn't make a pylon there, man. That's so painful.
I know.
More probes at that third.
It's got to be such a low worker count. I mean, look at the number of probes coming back. It's something like 6 to that base. He's not even mining gas at his natural, by the way. I just noticed that. So it's just like 3 base powering gateway man. The issue is, even though he got in there and killed all that, I don't think it's too hard to just remake a couple more tanks and hold it. There's the smallest chance that Best will come up here with the next attack and break this position. But I feel like this is pretty much in the bag for Sharp.
Yeah, he's got to refill that tank count. It's like there's still some play here for Best, I think, and Best... You know, I love that Sharp has mines still and vultures still at some of these other expansions, because that's going to slow Best down if he tries to expand. But I feel like, well, Best doesn't care. He's going to go for the attack again.
Yeah, Best is going to gear up. Now, when the supplies are much lower like they are now, a high number of vultures can really cause a miracle to happen for the Terran. This is what, like 3 or 4 tanks total?
Yeah, it's not.
But the amount of material, the amount of material in between, like number of mines, the depots, the floating buildings, even the turrets, that could be enough to draw, 1 or 2 Dragoon shots away, to slow down 1 or 2 Zealots. Yeah. I almost feel depressed watching Best try to do this, because you could see he's really stuck in a mode.
Yeah, he is.
And I think anybody who's played StarCraft has kind of been there, where it's like, even if you feel like what you're doing isn't right, you're not able to stop yourself from doing it. Like, this is kind of the software you're running.
This is yeah, it's a compulsion at this point for Best. He's addicted to Gateway Man.
Yes. And I mean, he's going to try to take a 4th base here. Things are developing much more cleanly. Or Sharp. Sharp should have better upgrades. He's at 1-1 right now. He's not getting his next attack upgrade, so that's a bit of a problem. But, you know, I mean, we don't have any High Templars yet. I guess the tech is there now, but I don't see any Templars. Yeah. And we don't have carriers coming. Arbiters, I think, out of the question at this point in time. Best is too starved on gas. He literally can't get Arbiters. So I just feel like this is going to be an inferior army. Best taking on a super advanced, strong army from Sharp. And then I guess, you know, you can't even really counterattack that easily on this map, in this position either. So, yeah. It's painful to see.
Yeah, it's more of like a recall or mass speed shuttle bomb type of map, but he doesn't really have the economy for that, like you mentioned. It is tough, but like, you know, Sharp does not have great upgrades. Like, he just got his starport, so he is going to be a little bit late on those additional upgrades, so that's something. Storm is going to be ready by the time Sharp attacks. That's something else. You know, like maybe Best can kind of pull this together. If he starts having, if he gets one more really good engagement, I could see this game evening out.
Yeah. Let's see what happens with this push. There's a lot of vultures here. And again, without Storm, without really good Storms, and I don't think we're going to have Storm in time here, you just lose with Dragoons and Zealots here. Tanks obliterate everything. The vultures get in the way. Vultures obviously just straight up counter the Zealots at the same time. The tanks counter the Dragoons almost perfectly. So I think all Sharp has to do is very cautiously move across the map, find these little groups of units, and then try to pin them up against a wall or force them to retreat back towards the rally point on the map.
Well, Sharp taking up a very strong position in the center. Both sides maxed. A lot of speed shuttles in here. Look at this vulture movement. Holy crap. It's like 3 groups of vultures in here, pushing those Dragoons down the ramp. It's got to be careful, though. If those vultures stay out of position, you're gonna have some trouble, right? Like, if he attacks and you don't have your vultures with your tanks, bad things can happen. But he groups everything up again, going for a massive attack. Look at this attack coming in from Sharp. We better see some good size storms.
Yeah, he's basically trapped this army with these spider mines over here. Now comes the big attack. Do we have the unloads here from the shuttles? There's so much here from Terran. Really nice Psy Storms in the back. A second Psy Storm wipes out some of those tanks. A Templar rushes in and hits 4 more tanks as well. Tastosis, is he going to do it?
Oh
my
God. Oh my God. He's actually getting rid of these siege tanks some way, somehow. Between the Psy Storms and the Zealots getting in. Best once again with a miraculous break on that Terran army. And look at the supplies. They're both at 100 supply after this. What am I watching?
Dude, I almost can't believe it. Now he's going to pick up leftover units so they don't get wiped out by the vultures. I cannot believe he did that.
Unreal.
Guys.
That Terran army was so high quality, man. It really, really was. I'm surprised as you are, Tasteless. Like that, I thought that Sharp was going to win the game and go to the round of 4 right there. But suddenly, like, we're back into a playable position for Best. Like, he's done a very good job. He's clearing the mines from the center. I think Sharp has to play a further back position. He just took his 4th, which is, like, kind of important. But he doesn't really have the tank line to defend, you know, properly and defend his 4th. And you can see he's actually just laying a million mines trying to stall Best out.
Well, I think the mines are the right play. You know, when you see a Terran get this low, first of all, how exposed is the main? I mean, I don't think he has that many turrets in there. He could start dropping stuff inside the main to keep the Terran back. Now, this next push is going to come out here. This will be equally difficult to deal with, okay? Protoss is not ahead, guys, just to be clear. It's just incredible that Sharp was at that much of a lead and Best dragged him down to even.
Yeah, yeah, and it's still like I still like Sharp's position more, but it's it is playable here for Best. Now Sharp just like swarming his vultures on top of these Dragoons, trying to get some kills. And as the Dragoons come up, he probably should think about pulling back here. No, he's gonna stay and just kill him. Obviously losing a lot of his vultures as well. You can see the supplies still just kind of maintaining evenness here, but anytime you're sitting on the same amount of bases as your Protoss opponent, unless they're on like a good carrier count, you're happy as Terran. That's like the only time where you're not happy is against carriers, because your army can just be so cost efficient. So I'm still worried about Best here, and like I think he needs to get a 4th base up, because his army is not one that can go and kill Sharp, right? The best he can do is take good engagements.
He needs a 5th base, but yeah, I mean, he just needs to try to get to an economic zone where it's like you can actually match him. You don't want to be even on bases in Protoss versus Terran. I know that's what Best games look like, but anybody else just has more. He basically locks in on one base and powers up and somehow punches the Terran in the nose.
Well, right now, Sharp has made a huge amount of Siege Shanks once again. He's had 3 add-ons for a long time. Really beautiful to see that. He's got that 4th base up and mining. His natural's almost empty, and but we still have like a big period where he's going to have 2 bases mining. And Best, like he definitely has plenty of mineral patches because he lost so many probes at the beginning. But he does need that 5th. I'm really getting nervous. And look, once again, Sharp has done this so many times where he's trapping these little edge groups of Dragoons.
Yeah, it's funny. Dragoons really beat Vultures until you get a ridiculous amount of them, and then it's like there's just so many shots coming from them. He's going to come in here and fight on the high ground. Now this looks even harder to pull off. Let's see what he can get done.
Well, he gets some good
he sniped the Templars.
Oh, but this is more what I thought the other battle would end up looking like. There's plenty of Siege Shanks left. He's got to turn around. Very tough right there. Sharp just having enough units this time to bully Best back. Best supply plummeting, and you can see him moving around in his chair. He knows that his game is going to end pretty soon here. Sharp very close to taking out that 4th base.
Tanks are going to continue to edge in. I mean, this is now even more difficult to get. You have half the stuff on the high ground, half the stuff on the low ground. A lot of this comes down to having 2 or 3 really good Psystorms, and I don't know if we're going to have that this time around. He is unloading on the tanks. He could fracture this position over here. He seems to have enough to unload up here. No, just now. Oh, no, he has one more shuttle with stuff in there. Well, so he does save the Nexus on the low ground. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. For now, he does. More Siege Shanks coming up and getting into a good, strong position. Best needs to bring more units up. Okay, going to load up these shuttles real quick and try to run them across. Sharp expanding once again, just absolutely beautiful with his expanding. You can see that speed that he has really kicking in as he's setting up these bases while attacking. Now the shuttle's coming back up. He has to break this. If Best loses at 4th, he's going to GG.
I just don't know if he has the muscle to get up on that high ground. Terran will sit up here all day and just filter tanks down there and generate threats. And now he's in range again. Vultures can cover this. This may be the last few moments of this game. Shuttle's going to load up the shuttles one more time. Excuse me, Sharp's going to load up the shuttles one more time.
Excuse me, and Best is going to load up those shuttles one more time.
I can't do this, guys. Sorry. He's going to unload on top of these tanks. It's just barely not enough. I mean, as long as there's Vultures and tanks here, these shields are going to fall in Nexus. The HP is going to be next. Tries to get a Storm off, but the Vultures snipe that too. Best scratching his head. Vultures come down and get this other base over here. That's it, GG.
Wow. A huge moment for Sharp, who won the wild card match, to be able to get one of those seeds for this season. Wins it legitimately in Season 17. So next season, he'll be auto-seeded into that round of 16. A huge play here tonight from Sharp. That was unreal.
Moment.
Yeah, and rightfully so, man. You can tell how hard he's practicing. I feel like everything is dialed in for Sharp. There is a chance he becomes an ASL champion. Unbelievable plays.
It was really beautiful to see. I'm a little bit caught off guard by how hard Best was shut down. I feel like he does that against anybody else. And it's a, you know, a 50-50. He crushes them every time with that gateway man style. I can't believe in that endgame moment, Sharp pushed out, he's maxed out. Didn't have +2 attacks, so that was his one thing he was missing, but oh my god, Best actually wiped the army and the game went on. Totally insane.
Yeah, really well done from him. I guess we're just going to show this kind of final attack. This was the last time they were close in supply. But yeah, attacking uphill, the spread for Sharp was very strong here. And look at that. He was actually trailing half of his army. Maybe if the entire army was in a position, maybe he can do better there. But, you know, Best was behind for a while, unfortunately. After that Speed Vulture run-in, that was just a tough game.
Yeah, you can also see the Templars. I think at least one of them got sniped when they come out. You really have to have every Templar fire their storm. Or you're just going to be in a lot of hot water. Again, though, when you do that Gateway Man style and go for the bust, you do end up with a very hard late game. That's what everybody should remember about this. You don't have to try to bust the Terran on their third base. Nobody's saying you do.
Yeah.
And you know, Best does it so many times, he kind of probably doesn't have to deal with this position that often, but you get somebody like Sharp who knows how to defend, who knows how to be patient, and all you got to do is outlast that one big moment they attack into you, and you're all right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what you're looking for as Terran. It makes the game so much easier when they waste their army. So that's a win for Sharp. We're going to go over to an interview, see what Sharp's thinking about that. Fantastically done series.
The first semi-finalist of ASL Season 17 has been brought forth. Let's talk to Sharp. Congratulations. Thank you. Ever more perfect, ever more exquisite was your performance today, beating Best 3-1 and advancing to the round of 4 as a result. Looking at your history, after all the way back in Season 1, you've claimed a seed through wildcard matches, but are now getting one through your own effort and making it into the semi-finals after a very long time. It really has been a while. I have the round of 4 ahead of me, and perhaps a chance to make it into the finals as well. I am well chuffed. You mentioned this in the pre-game interview as well. Your best of 5 versus Protoss is kind of on the weak side, and you said you wanted to break free from those chains. Being able to show this resolution in practice in a best of 5 against Protoss must surely carry some personal importance. For starters, I hadn't succeeded in a best of 5 against Protoss in a while, so I prepared very diligently ahead of today. Things seem to have gone well. The games went according to my plan, to what I expected. The preparation you showed in all 4 of today's games almost begs the question, how come your record in best of 5 against Protoss could be lacking? In a number of games today, you started by going up to 5 factories and then constantly denying observers before or while expanding. I wonder how exactly you came to prepare this particular approach. In any case, I consider Best a difficult opponent in a high supply fight, a maxed out fight. So I have this trademark move where I lure the opponent into a bad fight. I tried that and it worked well. In the last set, you kept running rings around Best with Speed Vultures. Was that something you had also prepared? I looked through my VODs, and seeing this particular move gave me some confidence that if I keep doing this, things will go well, and they did. In the third game, as Best was macroing up off of a Nexus first, a 12 Nexus, you dealt with that by going for mines into a quick third and then macroing yourself. In practice, as I was practicing, Snow gave me some feedback that I play aggressively, so I should try going for mines into third once, and it seems Snow was a big influence here. With a master plan in place, the games ended up going exactly the way you wanted them to. You are now in the semi-finals after a long while, with a best of 7 ahead of you. As your opponent will be decided through tomorrow's match between Rush and Hero, who would you rather face? Who would be easier for you or better for you to face? Whether it's Hero or Rush, they are both exceptionally good. Regardless of who it is, I think it'll be okay as long as I prepare diligently. I think the viewers would rather it was Hero, but I expect Rush will be very determined. As we were playing Pro League style show matches, he kept saying he wanted to meet me. I really wonder if he'll advance tomorrow. It seems as the winner here, you're just waiting for a worthy contender to face you. I'm excited to see what you bring to the table in the semi-finals. So starting with Snow, you must have had a lot of people help you prepare these elaborate games today. Yeah. Stork, Mini, YSC, Snow, and Ruin helped me prepare. Also today is Snow's birthday. It would be nice if he got some balloons. Also, thanks to our students for supporting me today. Yeah, your colleagues are here as well helping. And the head of our StarCraft school and the school itself watching online. But most of all, my wife is by my side supporting me. I haven't managed to go far in a tournament during our time together, so I really want to do... I really want to play on the big stage this time. That's as good as motivation gets. Any words for the fans in the studio or the viewers cheering you online to close things out? It seems like it's my first time playing on the ASL stage since like 2016. It has been a while, and to make up for all these shortcomings or the failures to advance, I am determined to have a good showing in the round of 4. Once again, congratulations on making it into the semi-finals. We'll see you in the round of 4. Thank you. And that does it for our chat with this season's first semi-finalist, Sharp.
Well, there you have it, guys. Clearly, Sharp is the better player. Best coming in here with a very specific style, and Sharp able to grapple with that style, either go even and the game continues on, or eventually fight back and crush Best. And look, I gotta say, man, I'm a little bit bummed out at how Best performed today. I think he needed to have a more dynamic approach. I think this is one of the reasons why we don't see him winning ASLs yet. I think he didn't adapt to his opponent, where I think Sharp did adapt by game 2. He really had come to terms with what Best was going to be doing against him. Especially in that game on Citadel where Sharp just stayed back and kept expanding and letting Best try to run through and break these difficult positions.
Yeah.
Well-earned win by Sharp.
Yeah, Sharp played amazingly, and yeah, Best, I'm no longer saying he should win an ASL because we've seen this too many times where he does the same thing over and over and does bad attacks. It's like he's really good mechanically, but just doesn't have the thought process in place. Unfortunate
or the
for him.
range and style, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's better in PvZ. I think he can do more things. I think PvP he's great, but he has this sort of weird, forced move that he wants to do to Terran. And here's the thing: Terran does not have to die like to that.
Mm-hmm.
They can fight that off. They can. It's super defensive. Anyways, guys, we're going to be recording this one tomorrow. Hero versus Rush.
Yeah. It's going to be a great one. Wow, starting on Troy as well. Not one that you're going to want to miss. Can't wait to see it. Hero versus Rush, you have any thoughts on who's going to take that one?
I have no idea who takes this. It's so hard to call. I want to say maybe Rush, but, Hero's so good, man. I don't know. What about you?
Hero's the most consistent player in the history of ASL by miles. But Rush is like one of the top 4 most consistent players. Like, they're both round of 4 guys. So it's hurtful to see them meet here. I do think whoever wins this will go to the finals. Like, I'd be surprised if Sharp continues to keep that level. So I would say I'm kind of leaning slightly towards Rush, but Hero wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, same here. I'm leaning slightly towards Rush, but Hero could easily win there and then move all the way on to the finals if he takes on Sharp. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It was another really fun day. We're going to get that next recording out to you as soon as possible. It will be recorded 24 hours after we record this, so it should be out the day after you see this. Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
No, that's about it. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting us. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English, and we'll see you next time.